Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Emerge. It's so great to see everybody in 3D. My name is Brenton Peck. I work on our financial services team here at the Financial Health Network, and I have the honor of being your MC this week. Well, don't get too excited. For some strange reason, Adam Sandler, Amy Schumer, and Chris Rock didn't return my call, so you're stuck with me. But like many of you, I flew into Los Angeles yesterday, and everybody told me it was going to be crazy chaos navigating that airport. But I found it to be pretty lax. L-A-X. And driving in from the airport, finally, when the smog clears over Los Angeles, UCLA. You know, I've been trying really hard to up my dad joke game lately. Of course, that's not why I'm here. We are all here together to discuss how we can be better financial health practitioners and leaders, acknowledging what the last few years has meant to our business and our clients' lives. I've got a bit of a collage in store for you to get things started that illustrates my journey over the past few years. But I do think that pictures tell the best story. Now, I'm what many might consider to be your typical millennial. And yes, it's true, I get called entitled by plenty of baby boomers out there. And I totally get it. But man, if I had $1 for every time a baby boomer complained about an entitled millennial like me, well, I'd have enough money to fix the housing market they broke. But all jokes aside, I appreciate that you in here see me as your target customer. But I'm going to tell you how looks can sometimes be deceiving. So I invite you to open your mind. But I am 38 years old, married, 2 kids and a dog, living in the western suburbs of Chicago. And this was always our vision for the future. Life is great. I'm relatively active and healthy. And one more thing, I most definitely outkicked my coverage. My wife, Bridget, is a veterinarian, and we like nice things. Again, your target customer. You know, in late 2019, things were really cooking. I had this vision for my ideal work life, and I was living it. Among the Instagram-worthy pictures, I got to keynote the inaugural Financial Health Forum in South Korea, November of 19. And I saw my beloved Cubbies play in a spring training game on the heels of an industry conference shortly after that. I really was living my best life. And everyone, people for the most part, seemed to be on this unified page, finding ways to enjoy moments and experiences with each other. Social media was being used to see what your ex was up to, not for keeping us on pins and needles, wondering when the next news bomb was going to drop. You know where this is going? When we took that hard left turn, March 2020, we all experienced something new. And we became isolated. We were alone. All of a sudden, everyone started fighting. Today's conference theme is to look back at obstacles, lean into opportunities. And I'll only take a moment to react to what it is that we all experience so that we can officially say goodbye to it. But I think it's worth pointing out that what we saw in each other's life over the past few years, that was surface level stuff at best. We can't go back to the before times. Thanks, Kai Risdall. But I think we can build a more compelling vision for the future by seeing the fullness of our clients and better understanding who they are as people. And it's not going to look the same as it once was. The pandemic reshaped the way that we function as a society, and your business pivoted successfully. Through it all, and for example, we learned that about 25% of American workers can effectively do their jobs from home. But as I learned, that was incredibly difficult. I'll show you mine. Think about yours. Talk about a funky start to all of this. You know, I'm so glad this snapshot was taken because it paints a picture many of us remember all too well. Up until this moment, we did not have a bring your kid to work day. life got messy real fast at the outset of the pandemic. My office here is a disaster. I apparently forgot how to shave. And my daughter and dear friend Tanya were thinking the exact same thing. Just, what is he doing? As I tried to navigate these different video platforms, finding that mute button while holding pets and kids at bay. It was a joke. You really didn't see too many photos like these floating around on social media. But this was our life. It resembled a professional war zone. And despite the chaos that was happening on the other side of our desks, we found ways to make it work. As the pandemic raged on, we found ways to enjoy life, as people do. My wife, Bridget, and I took independent trips. For those married people in the crowd, that is highly recommended. We also did what people across the country did. We bought a Peloton. It's now hanging in my closet collecting dust. I learned that virtual fishing was a thing. Try it out. And we brought home a pandemic puppy who's now driving me insane. Over time, our life started to look put back together, at least better than months before. But we were still in survival mode. I'm sure you can relate. And as COVID persisted, the breakdown of whatever we were calling our new normal, that cut deeply into all of us. Welcome to the world of doom scrolling. This was not fun, and it caused me to become a different person. I started questioning people's motives whom I had trusted my entire life, being shocked and angry constantly. It was as if our society made it a point to disagree on everything instead of agree on some things. Now, don't get me wrong. There were times when we came together. We made attempts to get up, to brush ourselves off, to try and do better next time. One mutually beneficial agreement that rises to the top for me was how our overall health as a country and as people contributes to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But we fell short of supporting one another here, and it cost us all. In order to support people with these aspects of life that we all deal with, I think we need a more compelling vision for what a better future looks like. Only then do things that providers offer actually matter. Things like product, place, pay, and benefits. Because without that compelling vision, we're really just taking shots in the dark. Sometimes we hit, sometimes we miss. So I'll ask you all, as a provider, how do you know who you are building for? Are you building for me, your target customer? Some of you might think, yes, sure, you pick up what I put down. Others might not be so sure. So in an effort to spark some new ideas and bring this all together, allow me to tell you about a time when my vision became blurry. Another guy from LA who ghosted me because I'm over 25 years old. So I've been here for some time now, and working at Financial Health Network has permitted me to speak on a number of different industry platforms talking about a range of topics. But there is one presentation that I delivered right before the start of the pandemic that really stands out to me above the rest, and not because of its content. As you can tell, I have a tendency to walk the stage before and during any presentation. It's an old habit of mine. Helps me time my transitions and visualize your beautiful faces before going live. And at this event, as I was doing my pregame ritual, I stumbled and I fell right off the stage. Whoa! Could it be the lighting? Maybe the stage was tilted. Perhaps I had too much fun the night before. But regardless of the reasoning, my vision was off. So I deliver this Jordan Belfort level inspiring presentation, and immediately following it, I called the ophthalmologist in my town, who sent me over to immediate care. Sad face. After about an hour of tests and a $400 out-of-pocket copay, The doctor told me I had something called optic neuritis, which messes with your vision, thus me feeling a little wobbly on the stage earlier that day. Turns out, that was surface level stuff. He could only do so much. So he sends me to the emergency room. We all deal with things related to our physical health, that goes without saying. It's also reasonable to say that something is or becomes off with our physical health as we go through life. But what's not talked about are how physical health diagnoses, procedures, or treatments impact our mental and our financial health. Let's talk about it. There I am, laying in bed in the emergency room a day after that presentation, thinking to myself, what is going on? I had seen no less than 6 different doctors at this point, and the bills really started to pile up. We tallied the total cost of that emergency room visit to be just north of $4,200 out of pocket. And per my better half, it was at this time when the state of my mental health started to show its ugliness. I began speaking angrily toward those who were trying to make me well. That wasn't me. I generally like people. About a day and a half later in the hospital, a neurologist who I had seen before, she comes back into my room to drop the bombshell, which is what's under my surface. I was diagnosed with a neurological disease called multiple sclerosis, or MS. And yeah, that's pretty bummer news. About 0.3% of Americans have been diagnosed with MS, of which 8 out of 10 are women. And it can be bad. It can impair people's ability to function. But like everything else physically in our life, this disease sits on a spectrum from pretty terrible to tolerable. And I happen to be one of the fortunate ones. But regardless of where somebody lands on that spectrum, one thing is for sure, shocks like this have a devastating impact on your mental and your financial health. Though there is no cure for MS, there are different treatment options that help limit its impact. There are pills or injections or what you see here, infusion treatments. So I go into Rush University Medical Center in Chicago twice a year, and they pump a big bag full of big drugs into me. It takes about half the day. The drugs prevent new lesions from forming on my brain and my spine, things that cause all sorts of senses, like vision, to become wacky. As time goes on, the hope is that the impact this disease has on my mental health plateaus. But I can tell you today, 3 years into this thing, that aspect is still on a negative trajectory. Every time I drop something or I stumble, this damn disease is still in the back of my mind. You know, I do what I can. I meditate, I work out, I go to therapy, all of which helps, all of which comes at a cost. On a Sunday night, shortly after my first infusion, I was sitting at my dining room table with my wife, Bridget, when we decided to open up that thick envelope sent to us via snail mail from our insurance provider. I couldn't believe my eyes. It's moments like this that are happening to people all around us and on a regular basis that we lost sight of. And frankly, we kind of stopped caring about. And this is why, now more than ever, we need to work empathetically to understand what's going on under the surface of your customers and your employees. Personally, I don't have 76 grand to pay out of pocket every 6 months. I spend that on avocado toast. But fortunately, insurance covers the majority. But being in this business, I grapple with what ifs all the time. For instance, what if I were one of 28 million people living in America who currently doesn't have medical insurance? How would I manage this disease? Who would I turn to for financial assistance? What would I tell my boss? And it pains me to say that other MS patients without the social, financial, and employer-offered support that I've become accustomed to simply do not have the same treatment options that work for me. My first trip to Rush was in the fall of 2019. And since that time, I have been back every 6 months for another big bag of big drugs. Cumulatively, I figured there's been no less than $600,000 worth of medical treatment provided to me since my diagnosis 3 years ago. I'm 38, and this will continue for the rest of my life. But all this stuff related to my physical and financial health, you don't see it. You see a millennial in his prime working years. And you certainly don't see the impact all of this has had on my mental health. The point of this story is that we really don't know who we are building for, nor are the experiences that we're offering up getting at what's really happening with people. We can get there, but we need solutions that go deeper. Listen, if I'm being honest with myself and assessing my mental, physical, and financial health today, I land in the middle. Mental health ebbs and flows. We've stabilized our financial health to the best of our abilities, despite 6 figures in student debt weighing us down. And physically, I'm fine. Drugs are working, I'm still vertical. Life is great. We have a roof over our heads and food on the table. Could it be better? Sure. Could it be worse? Definitely. My experience has taught me to appreciate that all of us deal with these aspects of health in our own way, but oftentimes alone. Mine looks different than yours. Yours looks different than theirs. But people in general stopped caring to see what was actually happening under the surface of one another. And it cost us as businesses and as employers. If you believe what I said at the outset, that I am your target customer, I'll ask you again, are you building for me and the millions just like me? The next 2 days are going to push you to think differently. The content is going to open your mind to our collective vision of improving financial health for all. Hell, it's why you're here. My suggestion to each of you, as you absorb new ideas and meet your fellow financial health superstars, is to find that common value instead of a differentiating one, and acknowledge where people might be coming from. Share your ideas, your opinions, and put empathy into practice. We're all here for the same reasons. And collectively, we can activate a better environment that supports our mutual goals. Thank you.